And welcome back to the Stranded Season 1 recap. Today, it is me, Coach Drew, joined by Will.
Yeah.
Sadly, Santi won't be joining us today. Shout out to Santi. Hope all is well. And we will be joined by a cast member that was not the boot for this episode. A very Will teased it the best when last we were here, and I think that tease probably upped my expectations a little bit until they exceeded them in the back half. So we're going to talk all about that. Um, Will, when you're, I feel like I ask you this every week. When you're putting these episodes together, specifically this one, when you finish it, when you come out of it, do you think, no, that's episode of the season. It can't be topped, even because you know everything that's going to happen, and you know how it's being edited and everything. I know you said you have Bex helping you do it now. You know how everything is going to play out. Do you still look at this one without spoiling anything and say the rest of the season's amazing, but this is peak TV?
I mean, I felt that on the day. I mean, if you watch the background, you see me like walking behind Tribal going to the pool, and it's me like there's a few of my friends in the pool, and it's me going like, this is gold. Like, I mean, this cast really, I mean, like, let's just start from the beginning, like the merge, right? First merge vote, 5v5, advantages, no clue where it was gonna go, right? Okay, great. Final 9 going right to Tribal. Idol, the first successful Idol play of the season, like craziest Tribal. John S goes out. Okay, now it's probably going to slow down. It almost ties the next round with Alex. Alex ends up going, but it was 5-3. It was this close to tying. Purple's a fucking mess. And then I'm like, okay, now this season will probably slow down a bit. No. Full yelling fight at Tribal. Purple's in shambles, and somehow both greens get out of it. I'm like, every round is a banger. And it's like, and so obviously editing that I knew it. And then it's like, but you forget, like, I just remember it being dramatic, and I watch it back and it's still dramatic. But in the moment, I thought this was like the biggest fight I've ever seen in my life. Right. Because watching it live is very different. Then you watch it back and like, okay, yeah, they're fighting, but it's like, it's nowhere near as dramatic as I remembered on the day.
Well, and I feel like we're going to dance all around a lot of things in this episode. In my notes that I sent to the group, it's so much what you just said. The Ymir Brooke fight that happens at the beginning of the episode, I thought that was it. And like when I say that, oh yeah, I felt like the episode underperformed as far as the expectations of like shit gets crazy. That's why I made it an actual sequel instead of the fight continues at Tribal. I was like, no, they just fought again at Tribal, and this time it exceeds anything that I could have possibly expected. And we're going to touch on the actual crux of what was happening with that conversation. But no, it's once again testament to how y'all as a collective have put these episodes together, where it didn't seem to drag. Like the strategizing part, is always going to take up a bulk of the episode because you've said you've done it on purpose. Because you hey, knock out the challenge. I want to focus on this. I want to focus on
especially since a lot of what happened in this episode, like a lot of what did happen during the strategy time. It's not like let's go back to like the other days where it's like round 5 where it was the double right before the merge. The minute Gibble lost that challenge on Purple, like you knew he was done. Like there was no, there was really no strategy time that we filled because it was so dark. But even if it was during the day, if we had put the strategy time in there, it would have been like, we kind of know what's up. You know what I mean? But this one, going into that challenge, like, I mean, if I had polled all of the people being like, before the challenge even started, who's going home, Brooke's name was probably not being said. And so the fact that in that time, now John Z had planted the seeds the previous round, but it wasn't like, oh, as long as Brooke doesn't win, she's automatically going home. That was never going to happen. And then in the strategy portion, it shifted, which was fascinating for me, which is why, I tried to make the strategy punchy and try to, do it up. But also the cast, I feel like, delivered on its own. I mean, literally the first conversation in strategy is Amir being like, yeah, so listen, I'm just gonna vote you. I don't really care about any other names. It's just gonna be you. I'm not really in the mood to like entertain anything. And you're just like, oh, that's what we're starting. That's minute one of strategy. That's what we're starting with. Oh Jesus, where is this going?
We end with Bex taking her shades off, which we know it's real.
Oh,
we know.
I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, Bex, can we please do an Instagram reel of being like, Tori, are you fucking me over? I was like, please, and she was like, yeah, let's do it.
With the CSI Miami song playing in the background.
Yeah,
we have the Who playing in the background, but. Starting from the beginning, then yes.
Yeah.
I use the phrase the Ymir train a lot during my notes, and I feel like it's very accurate. Ymir just kind of steamrolls his way through the episode, not as much of a player as much as just a character. Like this episode is very Ymir centric, and we get all versions of him except for the pregame / beginning of the season Ymir, the calm, collected. I guess when he's voting, he's kind of reverted back to that on screen.
I think, so it was really interesting because like I love how you said like we get in different shades, because he was like, we said this on production at the end of day one when we're like, Ymir is in the best spot. Ymir is winning this game at the end of day one. And then it's like the Alex vote, he got rocked on. Like the final 9 vote, John S., like he didn't know what the fuck was going on. No one did. But he really thought he had at least Steven with him. And that Alex vote rocked the fuck out of him. And then it switched. And now you have this like Ymir being like, oh, I'm fucked. Like I am firmly on the bottom. How the hell did I not see it? Now I'm here. And what am I going to do to get out of it? And it was so interesting to watch.
The antagonistic role for, I would say, I guess him and Brooke would be the main antagonists of the episode, which is ironic because it's mostly them going against each other. There is no real protagonist in that situation. I think the protagonist is us as an audience. But so we have this moment where Ymir's just like, I'm done with Lupo. Steven getting kicked rocks. Fool me once, fool me twice. Meanwhile, Lupo's saying, hey, I know that these people are probably going to be pissed, but I had to make a big move at Final 8. And it might sink me. It might help me move forward in the game. For you, watching Ymir's perception of Steven and Steven's perception of what he was a part of at that 8, were you swaying one way or the other as far as like, okay, I can see how one or the other can happen. Also, we can be joined by Steven as you talk about it.
Awesome. Hey, buddy.
Steve, we were just talking about you.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting because, so Steven, I was just asked basically like, how is it watching you kind of basically flip-flop a little bit? And I thought it was interesting. I think, at least, and Steven could speak to this better than me, definitely try to have as many options. But when you have many options, you end up hurting people. You know what I mean? And it's not a bad idea to keep options open, but it's really tough when you're like, yeah, dude, I got you. We're voting together. And then you just don't. And then you gotta come back and be like, oh, whoopsie. Well, let's try to work together this vote. And they're like, dude, what the fuck? But they needed him. Which I thought was really interesting because it's like, okay, you hate me for lying, but it's like, okay, you don't want my vote? And it's like, well, wait, hold on, I didn't say that now. Wait a minute. And then they're like kind of like forced to trust him, even though he has done nothing to show any type of trust, which I think is fabulous. And it lends, people then call it messy, but I'm like, but listen, someone from Purple had to know what the Greens were doing, because if Steven wasn't doing it, who was?
And that is a sort of a mystery that happens about halfway through the episode with some conversations that are eventually happen. Stephen, from your perspective, especially now looking back at the episode and seeing how irate Ymir is with you post Alex vote, looking at your confessional being like basically right after he has that, How did you feel in that moment, in real time? We see kind of what you have to say about it, but what did you think about your chances coming out of that Alex vote? And what were you kind of thinking moving forward? Not talking about the immunity yet, just like moving forward, it's like, this is it for me.
Right. So final 8, I knew that going into final 7, I was going to want to make a big move against Troy. So I wanted Ymir and Nathan to be votes for me to be able to possibly make a move. So I wanted to keep a good relationship with them going into final 7. However, we were told that Brooke and Nathan wanted, or sorry, Ymir and Nathan wanted to vote for Brooke. And at that point, Brooke is my number 1 ally. I do not want her going home. So we talk, like us 5, all talk. And we talk about how they want to vote for Brooke, and that Brooke asked, what if Ymir plays the idol for whoever we vote for? And then I was like, well, then you're going home. And then she didn't love that. And I was like, I'm just telling you the truth. But then I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want that to happen. So how can we figure this out? And then John V, Troy, and I all talked, and we agreed that we would not tell Ymir, Nathan, and Alex who we would convince them that we are voting for Brooke, so that an idol doesn't get played and then Alex goes home. Then slowly throughout the round, both John V and Troy both told the truth. So now I'm like, well, if I want this idol not to be played, I guess I'm stuck lying because John V and Troy told the truth, which I should have just, followed suit with them and been like, yeah, sorry, like, we're voting for Alex, but like, I want to work with you next round. But instead, I focused so much on the idol not being played that I didn't think about the aftermath of how upset Ymir and Nathan would be, because I knew they were gamers. I figured if I explained to them that I just didn't want the idol to be played to get Brooke out, they would understand. Nathan seemed like he took the approach of like, I do understand. I just wish you didn't lie to me, but like, I get it. And my game is in your hands still. And then Ymir took the complete opposite approach and was just so adamantly pissed off the entire rest of the final 7, like from the end of Tribal on. And I realized,
to his quote, I will never trust Steven Lupo in a game ever again.
Ever again.
Ever again.
Only once.
We find out that is false according to Caucus Challenge, but
yes,
he did work with me again. But yeah, it definitely was. It was not looking good. It was not looking good.
So another big part about these opening segment before we get to the immunity challenges, John V has final 3s with basically everyone in the game. He later says like he's been playing a little bit more of a chill type game, which I've seen a fair few of his games, and yes, that is true. And I put in my notes, potentially gives a winner quote later in the episode. As someone who has seen John play for 4 or 5 years, I do agree with him with a lot of the stuff that he said in this confessional, and I do feel like where once Ymir kind of was, as far as like big perception, this person's probably going to win, I think that finally has like shifted all the way to John in this episode, to the point where John gets called out at Tribal later, with Ymir saying, oh yeah, it's going to be these people and John's going to win the game. And in that moment, like, that has happened, I've seen that happen, and it has happened to me, and it's very hard to just kind of not react. It's very hard to just sit there like, oh man, that's crazy that you said that. For you, Steven, at this point in the game, before immunity, what were your perceptions on John? Did you know about all of the alliances? What were your perceptions on what he was doing in the game?
Yeah, so my perceptions of everything with him is that we have our 5 from Purple, and then within that 5, we have a final 4, not including Troy. So John V, myself, and the 2 girls. And then within that, I have an alliance with Bex and Brooke called Steven's Angels. And then I didn't like know for certain, but it was pretty obvious that John V also had an alliance with them. So it was kind of like a lot of intermingling with those four, like the purple excluding Troy. And also I had something with John V. John V and I were very close. And then we didn't have a set alliance with Bex, but like I know John V cared more about Bex than Brooke, and I prioritized more so Brooke than Bex if we had to choose one of the girls who we were the closest with. So those were kind of the interminglings that I knew John V was a part of. I just felt like Bex, Brooke, and I had a stronger relationship than John V, Brooke, and Bex. So I wasn't that worried that they would choose John V over me. I was just, like I showed in this episode, I was worried about the idol that Troy, I was told that Troy had. And so if we do what Brooke wanted and go to the final five with purple, then Steven always listens. Yeah, you gotta be protected. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I wanted to go after Troy because if we went to final five with Troy, we had the final four alliance with excluding Troy, and Troy would have played the idol. And I think if John V wins immunity, then I'm screwed. And then if Troy wins immunity, then I think that if the idol has to be played, I think him knowing that I have already targeted him and said his name in the past, that he would give the idol to John V or play it on John V to make sure that I go home. So I'm thinking in practically all scenarios, like I will be out at final five if I don't get Troy's idol out of the way. And so that's why I was really pushing heavy for Troy at the final seven to go out, but nobody was listening to me. And the one thing that affected me the most this round was Brooke, because Brooke, my number one ally, I've trusted throughout this whole game, kept saying in confessionals, she's my number one. I tell her that at the final eight, like when we were scrambling at Tribal, Troy comes up to me and says that I think we should vote out Brooke. Are you down to vote with me? And I said, no, we need to stick to the plan, save Brooke. Brooke is with us. We shouldn't get Brooke out now. And I told Brooke this and said, like, Troy was literally trying to change my mind and get me to vote for you. Troy is not with you. We need to get Troy out now. I thought that was a guaranteed vote I would have. But then she was like, oh, Troy just pledged his loyalty to me. He said he's with me. Like, I don't want to do that to him. I'm like, I just told you he was trying to get you out last round. Like, do you really believe Troy over me that he actually is with you? And so I'm thinking, if you're not willing to vote out Troy and you believe that Troy is actually with you, and I'm telling you he's not, you're closer to Troy than me. So I'm now not your number one or your number two. So I don't feel as comfortable with my relationship with Brooke anymore. And that's why I ultimately ended up voting for her in this round.
Okay.
I think that also speaks to Troy's power, I would say, just in some of the game, like watching him in this game and like other games I've seen, is that the fact that you were so loyal to Brooke and Brooke was like so loyal to you, and all it took was Troy being like, Brooke, you're my number one. Like, I would never vote you out. And then Brooke's like, oh, cool. He's off the table. And then, but I mean, I think that also speaks to Troy's game because Troy's a good talker. That's his power. You know what I mean? And the fact that he was able to, you know, I mean, he's convinced me to do things that I can't speak of. You know what I mean? Personally. I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, I think.
Why not? I was going to let you keep on going.
But I also think that also speaks to how complicated purple was. Because like on paper, it's like, oh, 3 greens left in a row, right? And then now obviously this vote changes it. But up to this point, it's like it was not a strong arm to like this final 6 that we're now at. Because like Steven said, there was so many alliances and so many weird trust things. In that. And that's what I found fascinating with, like, let me tell you, Purple Tribe was made for chaos. They gave us what we casted them for in their tribes. And thank you for that.
So we get to the memory challenge. And obviously at some point there's a change. And I guess I was kind of confused on what was happening that led to the change, Will.
Oh, because the fucking challenge went on for over 30 minutes and we're like, holy fuck, this challenge has to end.
Okay.
So this is behind the scenes. If any LRG hosts are watching, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit. We made the story, and like I read through it at home and I'm like, oh, it's only like 2.5 minutes. But when you're reading alone, it's very different than like reading out loud to people. And then I was like, oh, let's give them 3 options at each question, not 2. Again, and then that's it. And it wasn't really tested past that, which for future LRG hosts, test your challenges. Even if it seems like a simple challenge, just test it. Because as you saw, as I was reading the story, I had to fucking throw in the fucking fast forward because it took fucking forever. Oh my God, this story was so long.
The fun editing trick.
I don't think it was the 3 options. I think it was the story. If the story was
the story was long because after about I think the entire story itself, when I was editing it, I think was almost 4 minutes long, which is asinine. Anyway, so then what happened halfway is everyone's shit in the bed. No one's getting it. So then when I was like, so now what we're going to start doing is starting at question 1, we're going to remove out of the 3 options, removing one wrong answer. And then like every like 2 minutes, we were removing a bowl. And then people still weren't getting it because I think we removed up to like 8 bowls or something crazy. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to start talking. And that's what helped get Steven the win. But
I still don't even understand
he says,
how I got it from that.
Yeah, Steven says, fuck.
I remember in the moment, it was like so obvious that it was security, like so obvious. But like watching it back, hearing his hint, I was like, how the hell did I get that from that hint?
But it's funny because editing it was like you and Brooke were in the same spot, but Brooke was in your spot, like where you had like, I think it was the end that was wrong. She was there way earlier than you were. Like the way it was edited seems a little bit closer, but when I zoomed in on Brooke's like thing and she was 1 letter off, that was very early in the challenge. But then what ended up happening, and I tried to get some of it, we didn't get all of it, was everyone helping each other. Everyone helping each other fucked a lot of people up. Because they'd be sitting there looking at it and they go, yeah, I think it's this one, the S. And they go, no, it can't be the S. And they go, okay, then never mind the S. I won't use it again. And then they moved on and then the word's just gone. So actually them helping each other, I literally saw it. People were like convincing each other to take the wrong thing and they were just helping. But yeah, and then there was that one clip in the challenge where you saw it was one station and 3 different people came up and took 3 different letters, which I thought was funny as well.
It was
there were a few that were easy and a few that was like, really difficult. Like it literally could have been any of them for at least like half of them.
What was Brooke says, I think it was Brooke brought up Wordle. It's like, oh no.
Oh yeah. It was like, it's not 5 letters.
But Steven ultimately wins immunity and actively says that he wants to target Troy. Earlier in the episode, Troy talks about how his name really hasn't come out and he feels like this would be the round that it would happen. So it kind of sort of talked it into existence. And so for the first half of this strategy session, it does start kind of with a Brooke versus Ymir / Ymir hates Steven type dynamic. But that just kind of goes wild from there. Will, for you as the head honcho here, what was your favorite part of this entire strategy session? And keep it quaint because I want to talk about a lot of it. So just your specific. No,
my favorite part was, listen, it's Survivor, right? So there always has to be smoke screens and lies and that's part of it. But what I appreciated about this round more than the other rounds prior, it was like Yeah, it's gonna be Amira Brooke. Like, it's just not. We're not gonna play this game. Like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, other people were trying to pitch names, but it was like you saw it. Like Amir sitting there with Brooke and Bex being like, "Yeah, no one gave me a name, so I'm just gonna vote you, babe. Sorry, it's just what it is." Like that was like I feel like the first time in the game that people were just like, "We're gonna be open and honest in front of everybody, and there's no smoke screens, and that's just what it's gonna be." And so I appreciated that about this strategy round.
Steven, going back and watching the episode, what were some of the things, or like one big thing that stood out to you that you were not a part of during this segment?
Pretty much anytime anyone brings up my name, like there's so many confessionals about
Which
me.
is crazy
I
because
did
you
not
are
know that
immune.
people were
You
saying
are
this,
immune, and people are still saying your name.
Yeah, they're like, Bex really wants to target me. I thought Bex and I were super close, and Troy was throwing out my name. I didn't know that he was also trying to target me. I thought that I was only trying to target him. So that was interesting to hear. Literally any sort of one-on-one conversation that Bex is a part of, whenever like the taking off the glasses, like she's like, "You were with me, right? You're voting with me, right?"
Some funny shit.
So funny. So those were some of my favorite parts. There's two things I did want to mention about the strategy round specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one actually had to do with the final 8 was I generally in a game would have not lied to Amir and Nathan. I would have just said it, and if they played the idol, they played the idol, and I move on because I'm still close with Amir and Nathan. But the previous round, the previous weekend, I had played Big Brother Hogwarts, and I had won that game.
Yes,
and something that helped me win was before everyone was getting voted out, I would always be honest with them and tell them, "Hey, like I'm voting you out for this reason," like, and like they appreciated that. And so because I had just won, I was like, you know what? I want to lie this game. So I was like, okay, like if I'm the one who has to lie, like I guess it'll be fun to blindside someone. So I probably would have like said the honest truth once I heard John V and Troy were also doing that. But this time I was like, you know what? Like I really want to make sure I protect Brooke. So let's try to lie and see if that is okay, because I was hoping that because they're gamers, Nathan and Amir would understand. But I forgot, even though I literally said it in like a episode 1 confessional about Amir's emotional and messy. I apparently totally forgot about that.
yeah, I think most I feel like the watching audience, especially me, who has been covering this since April, kind of just forgot that. Yeah, as calm and collected, and how I kept saying, "Oh yeah, he would be the person that I wouldn't want to play with, but I respect like everything that he is saying and all this other stuff." That it is kind of alluded to from various folk that he does have this other side in game, and it just kind of all came back to me last episode, and then this episode's like, "Oh yeah, that this is a thing that happens." I don't know how I forgot it so easily, and I was quickly reminded of it because the in-game hatred of you continues into the strategy session for you for him.
And that's something the second thing I wanted to talk about is him. So me telling him on the steps that like if you want to stay in the game, like you need to like we need to talk. And then he's like, "Oh, if you want to stay in the game, okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about." Like I feel
think it's the way you worded it, because it
was
did
the way I worded it.
You were just trying to say like,
"Wait, what?"
Absolutely, the way I worded it was not great. But if he understood the idea, it would make sense. Like he's nonstop talking to me about how he's on the bottom, he's next, he knows it. Like nobody wants to strategize with him, and I'm like, Amir, I'm literally trying to strategize with you. I literally want to vote out a purple. Like you can make it to the next round if you hear me out. We come up with a plan, we vote together, and you're not going home. But like, I guess he was really heated, and the way I said it combined made him like react that way. But if he really thought about it, I was just trying to help him. I was trying to keep him safe because I did want to work with him even though he was mad at me. But he was just so like pissed off about what I did to him last round that he couldn't see that I was actually trying to help him. And so that's why he reacted that way.
And you have
I want to touch on one thing here that I thought was really interesting. Stephen, you're like, yeah, listen, I won a game, and I was like, I was like Susie Sunshine, and I was like really truthful with people, and everyone loved it. But this game, it's like, well, I already won doing that. Like, I don't have to do that again. And I think, and Santi has said this too, is like LRGs, like, what's not real Survivor, right? We're not competing for millions of dollars, right? LRGs are meant, at least for me, this is my philosophy, is like, you come to these games, they're 1 day, 2 day games, swing for the fences, do the crazy shit. Like you said, lie a bunch and see where it gets you. Like, fuck it, right? And I that's why I appreciate you with that as well, being like, yeah, I want to lie and see what happens, right? Because like, and then listen, there are some people that they play LRGs and they play the same way every time, and that's great. And that's fine for them. But like, how many wins do they have, right? But I think really LRGs are, at least for ours, our price point is on the lower side. It's approachable. I get why people play it. I just saw a Big Brother game, and this is no shade, but I got opinions. $675 player fee. You better be fucking blowing me every round if I'm paying $700 for a fucking Big Brother game. Like that, what I mean? It's for me to go home first, the house is getting burned down. Like, wild, right? But I get, if you're going to pay that, I get why someone would be very cautious and play the I'm going to be nice to everyone game, because I don't want to go home first because I paid $700 for this thing. The other thing I wanted to mention is what I find so interesting about Aymir as a player from the outside. When he's it's really about perception. When he perceives that he's in a top position, aka day one, phenomenal. He got it. And then the minute that he, again, perceives, because he could have got, like he did get, look what he did, he got out of this vote. But once he perceives that he's on the bottom, he needs to just chill, but like he gets so paranoid, and then it's like, oh my God, the world's ending. Because I've seen this happen in other games, and this happened in Collision, Stephen. Were you part of Rob's season? Yeah, the pair season.
Yep.
Remember at Final 6, like, once he realized he was going home, it was going to go to Rocks, and it was like the whole performance. And Steven, go to Rocks for me. Come on, please. It was like, because he thought he was on the bottom. But then it's like, I played Murder Mystery Manor with him, and he was a murderer. And I didn't even clock it. I was a player in the game, and I'm like, wow, Amir's so calm this game. Oh, he's learned. Like, oh, this is great. He was so a fucking murderer. He was going to get to the end anyway. I'm like, how did I not clock it? But I think that's also what I love about Aymir, is that like, it really is his passion. Like, he cares so much, and he has so much passion. And I would cast 1,000,000 Aymirs because you can't fake passion. You can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. So I would cast 16 Aymirs any day. If I casted 16 Aymirs, it'd be the most dramatic season in the history of the world, then I'd love that it was my game. But I digress.
Oh my God, that'd be so awesome.
and I think that that's for me, it's always been social game first, strategic game session second. And I think that that's one thing that social players have over strategic players. Players are social people know that, hey, if I'm on the bottom, all I have to do is talk my way out of this by just being me. Strategic people, when they're not chilling up here, I would go back to Korong, where we have these men just chilling up here, and then they get cut like this, and all of a sudden they're hiding machetes. They're getting pissed off, pouring water on the fire, because they don't know how to deal with the fact that they're being out in their head. They're being outplayed, even though there's a long game ahead of them. And I don't think Aymir's necessarily being outplayed here, but like,
right.
When you feel like your back's against the wall, you kind of go like this instead of just kind of like, oh yeah, you might be able to hit me. Let's just be friends and see how it happens. That's why I've always appreciated that social aspect, because more than likely you can find your way out from the bottom if you, as much as it pains me to do it sometimes, kiss enough ass long enough to get out of it. Yeah.
I mean, we saw that happen in 49 recently. Like, I forget, I think when Nate got blindsided, right? Savannah and Rizzo and Sophie were on the bottom, and they literally have that conversation, and they were like, okay, wait a minute. we cannot be angry. We have to go in, everyone, smile, hug, hug, kiss, kiss, because if we get angry, we're fucked. And I think, and then as we saw what happened, they all got to the end. I think, and some of that's obviously immunity wins, but I think a lot of that is you come back after getting blindsided and be like, oh my God, I totally get why you did it. Like, I'm totally not mad. I would have done the same thing. I wish you would have told me. I would have voted him out. Fuck Nate. Yeah. Right? That's how you got to play it. And then it's like, oh, you're not mad? Oh, okay. Someone, we talked about earlier, options. If I know you're not mad with me, then I can maybe pick you up the next row as a number, and then we don't automatically are going against each other.
In my head, when he said that, I had Savannah just going, man, fuck Black Panther. I don't even like that movie. I hate Black Panther. But okay, we're gonna try to get through some of this. I do want to talk about Brooke calling Amir sensitive, and that is what it was. And I do feel like both of them are being very sensitive in this moment, because the way that Amir's acting in this episode is kind of what Brooke was doing last episode. Bex has a confessional, shades on, where she claims that Steven and Troy are the people that I feel like most people would want to drag to the end. And I think at one point she says that in terms of strategy, she would kick Troy's ass at Final Tribal. Steven, for you, I know that, hindsight episodes, obviously no spoilers for me. How did you feel you were being perceived by everyone in the game up to this point?
In the game, I felt like I was being perceived as, by Nathan and Amir, definitely as a liar. I knew that they didn't really respect my game after that. But in terms of the people on Purple, I felt like people thought that I was playing a good game, but also not good enough to where I'm the obvious threat to win out of the 5 Purple. So I thought that people would want to take me to the end, but that I would have a good chance to win against the right people. I felt like people kept trying to get Brooke out. So then I thought that if we got Brooke to the end, that people wouldn't want to vote for Brooke, because there was a lot of conflict with Brooke constantly. And then with Bex, I didn't realize how close all of her relationships were. So I felt like she was someone who I could beat at the end. And then John V, I just know he is this big person in the community. He's always playing a good game. And I feel like usually he ends up losing because he plays the villain. But I didn't really see him as a villain this season. So now I'm thinking, okay, if he always plays a good game, but the villain card makes him lose, maybe he could win this game. So I felt like he was someone who would be difficult to beat in the end. And Troy, I just know him from other games. He's a really good talker. He always has good social relationships. So he is also someone who I was a little nervous to take to the end. So I'd say, like, I thought I was in a good position where if I can get to the end, I have a good case to win. But I didn't think it would be an easy win because I thought a lot of the people on Purple were playing a good game. And I didn't really expect the Greens to be at the end with me because now they hate me. So, and also there's a lot of green on the jury. So I thought that would be something that would get them jury votes.
And quickly, what did you think about, what was your perception of Troy? Did you think that he was, as Beck said, like, for her at least, she could beat him strategically at the end? What were your perceptions on his strategy so far?
I think strategically I could beat him, but socially I thought we were similar. But I did think I was positioned better because I was in that 4 and Troy wasn't. So I felt like if Troy made it to the end, he would have a good story. But at that moment in time, like, I felt like I was in a better position socially. So if I was at the end with him, then I could like share that I was in the majority the whole game and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't really think of Troy as someone really easy to beat at the end. I actually thought he would be a big threat in the end. I didn't think at that moment in time he was a threat, but I figured he would be down the line, and that's why I wanted to target him at Final 7 because he had the idol, and I didn't want to go out at Final 5, and because I knew he would be a big jury threat, so I wanted to take him out sooner rather than later, so that I'd have a better chance at making it to the end.
Well, I have a question. So if you went to Brooke and it's like, hey, I think Troy needs to go out, right? Obviously, she was like, no, he just pledges loyalty to me. I don't want to do that. Now she changes her tune. She goes, honestly, he just pledges loyalty to me, but I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm totally down. Would you have then ran to the Greens and you four would have made a new voting block and gotten Troy out? Like, was that like, would you have actually done it?
No, I only ran to the Greens really because because nobody on purple wanted to do it, so I wanted to try to get the Greens on board to save themselves, because I thought the plan going into the vote was to split on Ymir and Nathan. So I heard, if Brooke had told me that she's down, because like Beck said in her confessional, if Steven could get the numbers, I'm down, but if he can't, I'm not going to be a part of it. If Brooke said she wanted to, and that's 2 votes right there, maybe I could have convinced Bex, and then maybe that could have convinced John V. So it could have been a trickle down effect like that. So I think I just needed one person to say yes, and then I think we could have gotten the numbers, but nobody wanted to vote out Troy at this point in the game because they either wanted Nathan or Ymir out, or they were considering turning on Brooke. So they weren't really looking at Troy as a true option at this point in time.
Quickly, the Troy idol thing, and me and Santi both have this in our notes. I thought I was crazy and was like, okay, I either forgot this happened, or, maybe I haven't like paid attention as much as I thought I was. The Troy idol thing, well, yeah, unless it like spoils something that happens down the line. What was your perception of how this even became like a thing?
So I did put this in, but it was all the way back in episode 2 or the beginning of episode 3. I forget which one it is. Because he grabbed the bag that he had was from challenge 2. It was the memory challenge where they had to run, look at the thing, go back to the table, grab the items. And he said one of the bags on the table looked like it had something in it. So he just grabbed it and just like pocketed it really well. And then he looked at it and he says like, oh, I think I have an idol. He goes, oh, I guess I have nothing. And then he was like, well, I'm going to use it. Again, that was all the way back in episode 2 or 3. And then he just decided to rock with it. And so it gets so funny. He just stole something from a challenge and was like, yeah, I have an idol. And it worked out amazingly because let me tell you, like the story of Troy's non-existent idol was great. And it's so funny when you like when the players are in the game, how like sometimes you get so confused, because if anyone actually compared notes, the only way pre-merge that people got idols was from the summit. There was no other way you could have gotten it. Because even when like Ymir pulled the idol out at the final 9, he's like, I had it. And they were like, oh, wow. And we talked about this in the other podcast. Ymir got away with the fucking summit lie the entire game. No one ever clocked him on it the rest of the time. Like he was like, no, I lost my vote. And everyone's like, okay, cool. And no one ever like circled back around. He pulled the idol out and everyone's like, oh, good job. No one ever like tried to be like, hey, where did he get it from? Like, you know what I mean? And like, if anyone actually compared notes and been like, all right, well, the only idols came from the summit. Alex said he got his at the challenge. Troy's been bluffing this idol since like round 5. Like, this makes no fucking sense.
So I knew, I didn't know it was an idol, but I had an inkling that he had an advantage because Gibble told me that he didn't lose his vote. And then when I went the next round, I realized that it was the same. Each round, I found out that it was the same each time. And so I knew that if you didn't lose your vote, that means you gave the other person an advantage, or else you would have lost your vote. And also people were saying that Ymir did not even walk up to vote, and you're required to walk up to vote because you're not allowed to.
That's such a good lie.
You're required to go up to vote, even if you lose your vote, because nobody actually knows if you lost your vote or not. You find out when you go to vote. So I also thought that was suspicious. So I'm thinking, okay, I think Ymir has something, but I'm not going to expose that because I'm going to work with Ymir if we make it to the merge together. But then, he showed it pretty early on in the merge, so it was less a mystery to me. But I pretty much knew he had it based on those two silly lies that didn't really add up.
I will say, because I just talked to Bex about this, because I was like, why didn't you call Troy on I had to tell Bex and Brooke during the Ben around that I had an idol, right? So they just believed him. But then when it started getting down to brass tacks and all he would do is flash this little bag, I remember talking to Bex post game. I'm like, why didn't you say, bitch, pull that shit out the bag? Let me see it. And she goes, I wanted to. And I was like, let me see it. And Troy was really good about like, if I get by this round, I'll tell you. And then the next round would happen. She goes, all right, you got through the next round. And then he would like turn it and he goes, why do you want to see my idol so bad? Is it because you truly don't trust me? You're trying to get me out? Like, if you trust me, then why do you need to see the idol that bad? And like, and it was such a good way to be like, if you're going to push it and I'm really going to show you and you're going to push the issue, then I know you're not with me. And it's like, fuck, I can't say it now. I can't push it because he's out.
Well, yeah, and then him having an idol, definitely, well, a fake idol, but if he didn't have that fake idol, or if I didn't know that information that from Bex that he had the idol, it would have completely changed my game because I wouldn't have targeted him at Final 7. I would have waited till Final 5 and hope that John PRI beat him in the immunity challenge because I truly felt like he was on the bottom. And it seems like a lot of people were generally saying in confessionals that like they had a good alliance with Troy, but like weren't planning on taking him to the end. So I thought that would be like a good time to get him out at Final 5. So if he didn't have that fake idol, I would have waited till Final 5 to try to get him out, but I had to try to take my shot now knowing that he had an idol, but turned out it was fake.
Couple more things before we get to Tribal. One, I just want to quickly again point out Bex taking her shades off while she's going off on Troy, or like basically saying, hey, you better not fuck me over here. She kind of has a similar moment with John where like hey, I'm putting $500 on the line here. Like this is the real shit that's happening. I think that was with John. That might have also been with Troy. And then the second thing is, Stephen, I'm glad you're here because I was curious about this. When you're talking to Ymir and Nathan by the tree, it seems like you're like overwhelmed. Was that the case? Or it seemed like you were stressed, like overly stressed. Was that the case?
I was because I was truly thinking in that moment, like, okay, I know I'm not going to be able to get Troy out. Like, I still want to make a big move, and I don't know if Brooke is actually with me as much as I thought because she immediately refused to vote out Troy when I said Troy was going to vote you out last round. Like, I'm the only reason you're still here. And she didn't, because I told him no, or else you would have been gone. And she didn't believe me. She believed Troy. So that actually made me start thinking once Ymir and Nathan brought up Brooke's name, what if I do vote with them, make sure that the split vote happens where I'm in the majority of the split vote, and we do like a 3-2-2 split, kind of like on season 47, what Andy did, Operation Italy. Like I was trying to do that with Nathan and Ymir for Brooke because I didn't realize that the plan everyone else was doing was also Brooke. I thought they were doing the split vote plan because they wouldn't vote out Brooke. So I'm thinking like, is it smart for me to make that move or should I stick with my purples? And that was me kind of being overwhelmed, going back and forth. Like, should I actually do this? Should I not? Because like, if I do that, like it's going to be 3 versus 3. Will the people who I am close with actually want to work with me? Will Ymir and Nathan just turn right back against me if it saves themselves? Like, so I was going through like all the things while still talking to them. That's why I was pretty quiet in that conversation, just hearing them out. But like we see in the episode, ultimately I do vote for Brooke, but it turns out to be a majority. And something to try to make sure that Brooke did go home in that scenario, because if she didn't, I would be so screwed that I'm just flipped on her and she's still in the game, is when Amir goes to play his idol, I tell him like, hey, I don't think you should play it. You should play it on Nathan.
Yeah.
And then Amir was like, no, I'm going to play it on myself, because he didn't fully trust me. He thought that I was still lying to him about the Brooke. And he shows in confessional that he needs to trust John V, that he's saying that he's going to vote out Brooke. But at the same time, if you trusted me, then you'd have the majority already. Which shows that he didn't still trust me. That's why he didn't listen to me about the idol. But based on talking to everyone about the split vote plan, if the split vote plan did happen, I thought that John V was switching his vote from Amir to Nathan, because the guys were supposed to be on Amir, girls on Nathan, and John V said he's thinking about switching his vote. So I'm like, okay, they're all trying to go on Nathan, so you should play it on Nathan or don't play it at all, because I was trying to gain that trust with them. But Amir played it on himself and he didn't need to.
One small thing before we get to tribal. Amir once again teases that he's going to play the idol. I just want to quickly say that because we're going to get to tribal, and for this, I've got some scotch that I'm going to pour as we talk about this, because we do have some things to unpack here. Amir starts by pointing out everything that has happened that basically gives a back cover summary of everything that has happened so far this round. And from his perspective, he's right, whatever that means. And then Amir versus Brooke to Electric Boogaloo happens. And it is, for me, I love those moments as a player, because it's like, okay, I'll let two people that, have issues with each other just talk it out long enough that they still remain the targets, and I just kind of chill, and do what I have to do. And I feel like reading Nathan's face, I think it went from that to sort of uncomfortable. And I felt that way with a lot of people. Like, they all started to like go from, oh, this is fun, to like, okay. And we're just going to keep on going, because that tribal goes on, at least on screen, for a bit.
So full transparency on the tribal, I did not cut a lot from it.
Okay.
If I cut anything, it was more just dead air, where everyone's just kind of like quiet looking at each other. But I let it play, and you saw it, because it's like they sit down and Jack's like, and Jack did such a good job, because obviously like the people at camp, and he would be at camp sometimes too, would kind of download him on what was happening. And I was like, you need to start with Amir. And like, I don't know if I told him that. I don't think I did. I think he just kind of figured it out, because Jack knows what he's doing. And the fact that he's like, I'm going to start with Amir. And he's like, yeah, Amir, what's going on? And then you see, it's like 7 minutes of just them. Like Jack's
Just
like,
no
I didn't even know if
questions.
I asked a question. But it was, and we were talking about this pre-thing. I think what Amir did really well was he looked at who was left, and he was like, me and Nathan are fucked here, right? So like, how do I, I think maybe Steven might be voting with us. I'm not 100% sure, but how do I get them to turn? And his play was to rage bait somebody. And out of everyone left in the game, he knew who he could do it on, which was on, and he's like, I'm going to go for Brooke, because I feel like if he goes to Steven and he goes, yeah, you're the one that told Troy about the ad or whatever, Steven would have been like, I actually didn't say that. So good try. Thank you. And I would have done the same. The backspacks would have been like, be quiet. John V, same thing. Troy, obviously it was about Troy. So he knew, like, he kind of planted it, and then he knew Brooke was already mad at him, because we didn't get all the footage for camp, but she said in the confessionals, you wouldn't let me have a private conversation. And that did happen. She literally would be talking with Bex. He would be coming up and she'd be like, can you give us a minute? And he's like, no, I got something to say. And then that like set her off. So he already knew walking in that she was hot. and he was just going to stoke the fire and see what happens. And then when she went to 100, he was like, let's keep her there. And it ultimately worked. I do want to say, before we jump into this, I just want to put a disclaimer. What you see from these people in the game are not really how they are in real life.
Yeah.
Like, Brooke is one of the sweetest, most amazing women I've ever met. And I've been texting her. She has not watched the episode. She knows obviously what happened. And I was like, yeah, it's probably, you don't have to watch the episode. You know what's up. But I do want to just take a moment. Like, Brooke is absolutely amazing. And like, for people watching this, like, that was a one moment out of a very long, stressful game. And, in a game of Survivor, which manipulation is part of it, that's exactly what happened. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we jump in.
Absolutely. I've met Brooke in person, I think twice, and both times were great experiences. And just, I've never met Amir in person, but like just watching him, from pregame until now, I've said this from pregame till now, it is the type of person that I would be friends with in real life and never want to play with in a game. And I feel like Brooke's kind of the same, where it's like, I feel like I know that I enjoy real life. In game, I feel like I would try to poke the bear. So,
yeah. And I also think Brooke is amazing. Like, I mean, that's literally the reason why she was my number one. And what was crazy, which I did say on some confessionals, I don't know if it was ever shown, but I knew a decent amount of people going into the game, yet my two closest allies, in my opinion, were Bex and Brooke, two people I met for the very first time there. Yet I have other allies that I knew, but my closest allies were people I just met. And that just is proof of them just being like, I like to work with people that I really get along with and enjoy playing with. And so Brooke being my number one after just meeting her proves just how great of a person she is. And I know that we're about to get into tribal. So there was a couple of quick things that I want to mention about the strategy. One was in between the immunity challenge and the final 8 tribal. So they were like setting up the challenge, so they weren't recording anything, but something that was crazy that happened was all 5 purple were in the corner of the yard all talking right after the vote. And Amir saw that all the purples were talking and were like excluding Nathan and Amir went off and like just starts darting across the field over to us, like screaming at us. And it was like you guys are just gonna vote together, like we're on the bottom, we're next, like you guys don't even want to have conversations with us. So that was definitely an interaction that I think started up Amir just being upset with being on the bottom. Like he would be upset that he was lied to, but not only was he lied to, but we were excluding him from a conversation immediately after tribal. I think that got him riled up a little bit more too. And when we were talking about if Brooke would vote for Troy, would I have gone to Green? I said I wouldn't have, but the reason is because I knew that maybe I would have went to Nathan, but Amir, I knew wanted to vote Brooke so bad. So I don't think that he would have done anything else. I would have probably approached him just to see if he would be down, but there's a chance I wouldn't have because I know that he was so mad at me. So if I told him, he would immediately tell Troy, and I'm trying to blindside him with his idol. So I'm trying to tell people, like, if you're down for this plan, do not tell Troy. We need him to go home with his idol.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because he was so dead set on Brooke. So he wouldn't have been keeping his options open. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I wouldn't have talked to Amir about that. And then also a reason that I think Amir further didn't trust me is because he believed that the person who wrote down his name in the final 9 was me, and it wasn't. It was Troy, and I was trying to try to get him to vote Troy. Like, I was trying to tell Amir, like, listen, like, Troy is the one who voted for you, so we need to get him out. I'm trying to look out for you. Like, Troy was gunning after you at final 9, and so we need to get him out. Let's vote him out. And he was against that plan because he didn't believe that Troy was actually the one to vote for Amir. But I knew for certain that it was Troy, but nobody believed me. Everyone thought it was me. So
because you're a liar, Steve. I'm fucking around, but
I didn't really think that until after I lied to him.
Yeah, I'm busting balls.
No, I know, but like, yeah.
So I prefer Philip Shepard to Philip Shepard 2.0. I prefer him in Karamoam than Redemption Island. And we're just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. Rice Wars and Redemption Island. As a black, I've never I understood what Phil was saying when it came to being called crazy, but I also understood that it wasn't because I understand what a microaggression is because and I didn't feel like that was the case then, and I felt kind of sick that it was being used. I felt like Philip was kind of using it for game purposes when I didn't it didn't feel like him. I felt like he was being a crazy person and he got called a crazy person. For me personally, I have played in a game within the last 12 months where someone was being overly aggressive and someone was not me. And they got called sort of aggressive. And I defended the person that called the person aggressive because they were being aggressive. I didn't think it was microaggression because when you're being aggressive, it's kind of hard to not use that word. I got canceled. The other guy got canceled. The aggressive person didn't. And it sucks because once again, I kind of felt sick as someone who has seen real things happen in real life with real microaggressions for that label to kind of be put on someone, someone being a microaggressor, and it's not true. I say it like that. Here, I didn't feel like anything because we've talked about this enough this season with how people are talking about the women, and Ymir was the one that brought up how people are kind of talking about this, and then pretty much from that episode on, it's been him versus Brooke, and it just kind of it kind of sucks to hear that word. And thankfully it wasn't. It didn't divulge into a Rice Wars type situation. I do kind of feel like these two have a mutual, hopefully, respect for each other. I did kind of feel
this was all in game by the time
it did feel like there was a lot of in game. Just like Lupo brought up earlier, Ymir ended up working with him again in a different game moving forward. It just kind of feels like in game, this is what it was, and I guess I'm happy at the fact that aggressive stayed, at least from an audience perspective, aggressive stayed within the realms of these two are being aggressive, and it's all right. It's all right to be aggressive in a game like this. Like Will said, it shows you care a lot about the game, and I feel like both of them have shown that at different points throughout the season. So I guess I'm tipping my hat to both of them for still sitting in that moment and not backing down against each other and saying, no, bro, this is how it is. Brooke saying, hey, I'm not lying. You go watch the edit afterwards. You'll see that I'm not lying. I'm here, throwing all this stuff out there and hoping something will stick, knowing that he's not actually going to vote for John V. In a few moments. I really appreciated that fight never transcended the game, and that words could be used in game that didn't have any outside the game, whatever. So hats off to both of them, and hats off to production and the rest of the cast that were sitting there for just kind of keeping things chill.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really does go back to how great this cast is. Casting is something that I feel like is not talked about enough. I feel like a lot of games, it's like And I can tell, and I don't give a shit if it's controversial, but I can, when I watch LRGs, because I watch them like TV, I can watch it and be like, oh, so basically the first 16 people that signed up got cast. Got it. Like, it's like we didn't do any type of vetting. We basically said, hey, you got a pulse? Come play. Like, we don't do that on Stranded. And let me tell you, when it got heated, I was like, oh boy, this can go a lot of different ways very quickly. And it didn't. And and like I said, it got heated. It's the most heated tribal thus far, but it never like devolved into like name calling or like it stayed in game. And that is because the cast was so strong and we don't cast people that are gonna do crazy shit like that. So yeah, I appreciate you calling that out because I remember the entire time I'm like, oh, please, everyone keep it PG-13. And everyone did. And like I said, then once that tribal was done and the game was done, it was hug, hug, kiss, kiss, and everyone was cool. So
except for Steven's oh fuck during the challenge.
Yeah. But you know what was so funny during that tribal? Because really what started off was when he was like, yeah, Troy, I know about your idol. And then he was like, who told you? And then they give the mic to Steven, and Steven's like, yeah, no comment. And it's so funny because it was Bex that told Steven. And if you know the context of that, well, go back and watch it, Coach, knowing that Bex told Steven and watching Bex's face. And Bex is like, I need to just stay the fuck quiet and not say. And she's just sitting there with her shades, nothing, because Steven could have blown her shit up so easy, especially with all the heat coming at him. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to say it. And then, of course, Amir does that as you know, ammunition, be like, oh, it's Brooke, right? She's asking Steven to lie to her. That's what it is. And I was like, dude, Brooke got all the heat for this for something she literally didn't do.
And she never backed down. Like she defended herself, yeah, but she never backed down from being called. She didn't say, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. She's like, no, you go watch the highlight. Watch the film. You'll know.
You'll see. Yeah.
Steven, just quickly, when you're asked that question, is it just impulse, no comment, or were you like, okay, he might ask me, how do I want to go about this?
I didn't expect that to come up, but when it did, I knew I did not want to say it was Bex because Bex was one of my close allies, and I wanted to show trust to her. Like, I know you told me, and you know that you told me, so if I don't say who it is, you know that I'm trying to protect you. Like, we're close, we're tight. And so that was why I was not saying anything. And the fact that it was turned on to Brooke, I mean, my plan that round was to vote Brooke out. So like, there's no reason to like defend her and screw up my relationship with Bex that is going to be here next round. Especially because if I defend Brooke, then maybe Amir is thinking, oh, Steven's not voting with us, but I wanted him to think that I was voting with him because I was. So that's kind of why I didn't really say anything and just was, but it was pretty funny that I decided to add it, just say no comment, and that's it. But I did say to Amir, like in the middle of all that, I was like, I did tell you who it was. Like I wasn't going to say it in front of everyone, but I did. There was proof in that episode of me telling Amir that Bex told me that Troy had an idol, yet he still used it as ammunition against Brooke. He probably forgot, but I told him, like, I told you. I'm not going to say it right now, but I told you. So
Steven, I have a question. So
yeah,
when all that was going down, like they're just going at each other, is it severely awkward to just sit there and like listen to it? Because it really was between them. It wasn't like there's been fights at tribals I've seen where everyone's kind of involved, but it really was just them two. Is it just awkward to just sit there and be like, the whole time?
It would have been if that's the case, but I actually pretty much saw what was going down for the first time just now, because if you see during that entire tribal, me and Troy and I are having a one-on-one conversation right now. Like the entire time, I was so focused on Troy, I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't care. I knew who I was voting for. Like I needed to do damage control with Troy. So him and I were just talking like the entire time they were yelling at each other. So it wasn't awkward. It was awkward for me, but because I had to talk to Troy and explain myself, not watching them go.
You had your own awkward thing going on here.
Yeah.
That you didn't.
Yeah,
Ymir
exactly.
finally plays the idol after about 2 or 3 episodes of teasing it. He finally plays it. He plays it on himself. Like Steven said earlier, he's trying to, hey, like, go this way. Hey, you should probably go this way. Ymir says, hey, like, I don't really believe in playing idols that are not for yourself. So I'm going to play it for myself.
Which is also a reason why I should have just told Ymir the truth in Final 8 and not think like he's going to play it on Alex. I was like, if Ymir plays the idol on Alex, like I should know Ymir as a player. He was not going to play it on anyone other than himself. So that also was a misstep.
Punches his ticket to Final 6. It was always going to go make it to Final 6 based off of how the votes go. And Brooke is ultimately voted out. Will, for you, after this very long round, and as you can see, it's our longest episode of the season as far as the podcast. After such a large round, I know you brought up earlier, Brooke would have never been in your head. For it to be Brooke here, what were your thoughts?
I was fucking crushed. I'm going to be very honest with you. Brooke was one of my favorite players out there. And I think the way she played, and I'm going to bring up a Cass from Cagayan, right? Because she said this a lot of like, the way I played, why am I labeled a certain way? But then Tony can play very similar to me, and he's the god of Survivor. And I'm interested, and we'll never know this, obviously, but I'm interested if Brooke was Ben and was a dude, would people have been like, oh, she's digging her heels in again? Like, would people have been so like, wow, she's so confrontational if it was a male? And I don't know. But I love players like Brooke that exist, because she came in and said, yeah, I got opinions and people are going to know it and I need things to go my way. And if you don't like it, I don't really give a fuck. But I got my people and they got me. Unfortunately, she got sniped by her people, but I love players like Brooke who are like, and Steven knows this, like we talk about this 10 toes down in caucus all the goddamn time and stand on business. Brooke was like, yeah, I'm going to stand on business. You're gone, out. Bye. And that's what it is. So I love how players like her exist. So when I realized that she pretty much was like the Danielle of Heroes versus Villains, where the villains were kind of getting all together and all of a sudden like, no, we need to cannibalize one of our own. And then Danielle got the boot, and then the villains, continued. But like she was the one the purple that got turned on, which was unfortunate because I really enjoyed her game. And it sucks because she, at the end, she really was a loyal person. And she just, all the intricacies.
Yeah, she was telling the truth.
Yeah.
Steven, for you, as we start to wrap up, obviously, without going into spoilers for future episodes or future episode, I don't know when you go home or if you go home.
Right.
Your thought going into voting for Brooke, did you feel like it was going to be a net positive, or it's just like, okay, I just have to do this just because?
I figured a lot of the green people were saying this, but mainly it was Ymir, and I guess that was like making me think that all greens are probably thinking this. The fact that the purples were only sticking together the entire time, like, and that it would be boring, like you wouldn't have any big moves. Like, I wanted to differentiate myself from the purples. So going into that, I was like, okay, like if a move is going to be made, like I want to be the one making that move. So even though it was Brooke rather than Troy, I still wanted to make some sort of move. If Brooke like said that I just don't want to do Troy right now, but like I am 100% with you, like I fully trust you, you're my number one, like giving me something to make me think that she actually is truly with me, maybe I wouldn't have been okay with voting out Brooke. But because I kind of lost the trust that I thought I had with her, I was okay with voting her out. So it gave me the opportunity to make a big move. But I'm thinking going into this final six, that it's Imir, Nathan, and I possibly going to Rocks next round, because I don't know how upset Purple will be that I voted for Brooke, because I thought all of them were protecting Brooke. And I was willing to go to Rocks because, I wanted to shake up the game. I wanted to, enjoy my time on Stranded. Like I just wanted to make big moves, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity. But now with it being a majority on Brooke, it's definitely not so obvious that Imir and Nathan are fully trusting with me, because I'm not the only people that helped vote with them. Everyone voted with them. So now it's kind of back to like, Imir and Nathan still don't trust me, but we'll see if like I can still stay close with all of my allies and like maneuver my way to the end.
Yeah. Will, I think this is obviously, I think it was a action-packed episode to say the least. Once again, this is the longest that we have gone, I think, all season. And I think it's once again testament to Beck's editing, the way that you've ran the game, and the players. Lupo, especially including Lupo winning immunity this episode, to how this game went. And I don't know if we have 1 or 2 episodes left. 2. Okay, so we have 2 episodes left. I'm really excited to see how the rest of this unfolds. Is like I don't know if I'm the only person left that doesn't know who wins, but like I'm hoping that between now and the 24th.
I was just talking to Santi. Santi does not know who wins either.
Okay, so 24th, right? Something around there. The finale.
So I'll go through the pitch real quick. So first of all, the storylines that like wrapped up this episode, I thought were so interesting. Like, so for example, like Steven beat the drum for Brooke. Even during the reward, he was like, "Oh yeah, we can vote out Bex. I don't give a fuck, but don't touch Brooke." Right? All that. Like, and then like really went to bat, especially during the Alex vote, was like, Brooke is like, we're not. And then to flip and be like, and he even said it in his voting confessional, one of my favorite ones. He was like, fuck, I can't believe I'm doing this. But that's why I love Survivors, that like one round he was like, I would never write her name down. Fuck everybody. And the next round be like, okay, yeah, write her name down. So I love that. And also what I love about this storyline, even though it didn't end great, go back and watch that first, watch the final 9 tribal where the John S goes. Brooke is literally holding Imir's hand when he's like having a moment. He's like, oh my God, it's me. Should I play the idol? I don't know. Brooke is literally holding his hand, being like, baby, it's okay. We got you. Like, you're fine. And it's just so interesting how they go from she's literally holding his hand and consoling him to then everything out of your mouth is a fucking lion. Fuck you. Like, that's why I love this game. That's why I love this cast.
It's Zeke Andrea Belke from Game Changers, where, Andrea's there for Zeke, during the one moment, and then she's basically motherfucking him on his way out. And like, I know they're good now. It's just how quickly that can change when you are playing in a game like this where you can't trust anyone. And that's why so many Survivor players, I feel like a lot of LRGers have this too. They just won't admit it. That's why they should not be playing more than like 2 games a summer. They get a lot of PTSD. We get a lot of PTSD from playing a lot of these games, because we're not programmed to just not trust people. And when you're telling us, hey, we have to do this for a set amount of days and ultimately probably lose, you get it bucks you up. So it is funny to see that happen from that final 9 to here of her consoling him. And it's once again, it's a testament just to the community as itself, this community that we have built for ourselves, where we are not only just reenacting what we've seen on TV, but we're actually doing and becoming our own characters. Stephen brought up earlier how John B has this larger than life personality inside of our community. of this big villain archetype. Steven has played multiple games. Like I would say you're teasing 15.
No, more than that. Steven played 10 LRGs the year we filmed Stranded. Like,
okay, so
yeah, I had four weekends back to back of playing games.
Okay, so maybe teasing 30. But the point is, people know who Steven Lupo is. People are starting to know what Stranded is, and I think that as season 2 gets ready to come out, even more people hop on the bandwagon, because I think that this has been amazing TV, to say the least. For the folks that come in and watch me, you, and Santi every few weeks, I hope that they've enjoyed it enough to apply. I think it's great, and I think that we're heading to a great point in the game, the end game, of course. I think it's great that you're hosting a finale party to commemorate.
So let me tell everyone about it. So, first thing, episode 10, our final 6 episode, will be coming out on Friday. The title of the episode is, "Do you want to get to the end, or do you want to win?" So that's the title. That comes out on Friday, and then Sunday, January 25th, at St. Pat's on 46th Street in New York City from 12 to 4. We will be hosting the Stranded Season 1 finale party. And it's a great finale. Whoever makes it to the final 5, I think everyone cries in the episode at least once. It is one of the more emotional episodes. And it's an exciting finish. And it really gives everything. There's highs, there's lows, there's big wins, there's heartbreaking losses, everything in between. And with that, so you come to St. Pat's, come to our Instagram. The party full is there. RSVP. We're going to pull some challenges from season 1 and 2 to see if you want to, have a little moment. We're going to watch the entire finale. We'll have some time to mix and mingle, and maybe there'll be a little sneak peek of season 2 at the end.
Spoilers. Well, Steven, thank you so much for hopping on today. Like I told Bex a few weeks ago, I hope I don't see you anytime soon. Hopefully, you can at least get through one more episode. I think that you have. I don't think that you're a goat. Absolutely not. So I'm hoping.
Oh wait, I need to know your. Now you watch this episode, Drew. I need to know who. I'm going to give you top 2, because now we're down to 6 people. Who are your top 2 choices to take the game?
Want to win, or who I think are going to win?
Okay, give me who you want and who you think.
Yeah.
Who I want to win: Troy and John.
Okay. And who do you think's going to win?
That's hard.
It's a strong final pick.
I don't think there's anyone that has been totally buried in because even like Nathan, halfway through the episode, I'm like, oh man, he's not as confident as he once was. And then by then it was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's back. He's an interesting character. I know we didn't talk much about him. Okay, so who did I say? Okay, so I'll say Bex and John.
I would say this top 6 is a really strong top 6. Any of them could win the game. They all have win equity in some way, shape, or form, which when we got to final 6, and I was like, oh, wow, like I could see any of these people winning. There's no layup here, which I think is really cool. And really it comes down to final tribal too. I think a lot of people don't think about it. Like getting to final tribal is one, and then selling the game you've played is another. We've seen on Real Survivor, people that probably should have won, but they shit the bed at final tribal. So I'm interested to see how everyone responds to what happens next.
Nathan content real quick. Nathan straight up says in the episode, hey, I'm just trying to get to the end. If I can get to the end, I can do what I have to do to win the game. And I think that for me, that's always been the most important. Like your goal should not be to make big moves and potentially make the end. Your goal should be to make the end and hope that you're able to sway people enough, because like big moves are cool. Big moves also get you targeted if you do them bombastically, if you do them loud
The
enough.
big moves are fun to just swing for the fucking
and
fences.
in games like this,
And
and
they're like,
LRGs, both of y'all said
That's
it.
why
and
when I had
LRGs,
immunity.
yeah, and LRGs, it's fun to do it because it's like, fuck it, I'm here to have fun. I'm going to do what I want to do. I get it. But
yeah, that's why when I had immunity, I was like, all right, like I'm just gonna go for it.
Fuck it,
like this, they can't vote me out. Let's fucking ball. I think I said in the episode, I'm going balls to the wall.
Yeah, you did, and you did. So thank you everyone for continuing to tune in. Everyone that was in the chat. Santi, thank you so much for setting this all up for us tonight. Get well soon. I hope to see you in a few weeks. We'll see what the funds are looking like. Will, thank you as always, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.